Hello everybody, welcome back to the internet version of crowd work, Weird DMs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if that statement doesn't make any sense to you, basically this series is an attempt for me to reach out to you, a digital audience member, and you get to tell the room a funny story about yourself. We all get to laugh at you. You know, maybe you got cheated on, maybe you took a bunch of laxatives on accident. Either way, it's just a fun little time for all of us to kind of humanize you, ourselves, myself. We can all project part of us into you, and it's supposed to be a good time. At least that's what I aim for every time I do these series, but it actually never ends up going that way. What actually ends up happening is I throw out a request for stories and I try to keep it to a theme, and what it typically devolves into is one way or another a lot of you committing like violent crimes as children, which in some ways is cool. It kind of reframes things in my mind, like Lord of the Flies. We all kind of look at it as a piece of fiction, but instead it's actually a documentary about Gabby Petito's boyfriend. Whenever I read these emails, I wonder if any of you had a normal childhood. You know, something very regular, like your parents screaming at you, verbally abusing you because you can't get your multiplication table correct. Did any of you go through something like that? Because a lot of the stories are, here's one. I drowned my dog when I was 2. What's great is the first few words is, it's not that long of a story. Yeah, I don't think there's any story. You drowned a dog when you were a kid. We don't give a shit at all how you drowned a dog. This is not really what I meant when I put out the original prompt. Now, to be fair to you, when I put out the prompt, I did say send me your worst and there is no theme. But when I said send me your worst, I was kind of assuming that a lot of you are well-adjusted people, and your worst would kind of be a bit softball, or you would at least not make my inbox a honeypot of like animal murder and attempted murder, so on and so forth, because I've said in the past, I can't really do anything with that. That's not fun for anybody. You're fucking up the vibe. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. I'm farming you for a bit of content, so I guess I kind of have to take it all in stride. Luckily, we do have a few normal stories here. The first one being, I rejected my third cousin and my mom got mad at me. Now, based on the title, I'm assuming this story originates in the Midwest, and a lot of you are Americans watching this channel, so you're probably making that assumption as well. A lot of you are probably actually in the Midwest, in the South, and you have some experience with cousin fucking. But with all of you maybe in big cities that think you're better than everyone, and you want to be quick to be critical, you want to point the finger at the guy in the South and be like, oh, I bet it's one of them doing the cousin fucking. I just want to remind you that cousin fucking is not just an American tradition. It's a global tradition. Many cultures support and encourage cousin fucking. So I say all that to say, if you were being judgmental, or if you're being assumptive and kind of like, putting your nose in the air, like, oh, I bet it's one of those Midwest, swamp people doing the cousin fucking. I want to remind you that cousin fucking occurs in all degrees of humanity. And just as a side note, if we learn to accept that, 23andMe can be so much more than a family tree application. It can be for dating too. But let me stop spinning tire and just get to the meat of it. I rejected my third cousin and my mom got mad at me. My third cousin and I used to be close friends growing up, but kind of grew apart because he lives in Florida and I'm from the Midwest. Last few years we grew closer again, till one day I posted an outfit on my Insta story and he replied, "Do a little turn for me." I mean, you gotta give him credit. What a hilariously bold thing to do. And he was plotting on it. That's the crazy part, is maybe to you it was kind of a surprise. Or at least maybe in that moment you realized this whole time your third cousin has been plotting. He's been waiting for this moment. Just picture that for a second. Your third cousin thirst trapping, and you just do a little turn for me. I told him, no, what the fuck? And he replied, damn, my hopes weren't the only thing that was up. Pooh! Oh, man. Wow. You have to wonder what state of mind this guy was in, that he's doubling down on hitting on his third cousin. Maybe this is a modern issue. Had he been born in 1980s America, maybe it wouldn't have... Obviously down horrific, but is it his fault? Can he blame his culture? Florida plus the Midwest? He's probably seen a few cousin fucks. So was it that crazy that maybe You know, on a shooting star. I bet you there's a Disney script somewhere about two cousins falling in love after winning a rollerblading tournament. You know, I know it's deeply ingrained in our society in some capacity. So, is this just a shift in the tide? A modern woman facing a traditional man? I'm going straight to hell, man. I told him that wasn't my problem and he was being a creep. He blocked me after that. Later, my mom came into the room and yelled at me for hurting his feelings and that she thinks he and I would actually make a cute couple. See? You're just a modern woman. Mom is stunned. She's shocked. She's kicking that door down like that is a perfectly good third cousin that you're just throwing away. For what? Some stranger out there? We know him. He's good people. You want to go out into the world and meet someone you don't know just to find out that your third cousin would have treated you better? Mary Beth, how dare you turn down your third cousin? How dare you? Had it been me, had I not met your father, and had it been me, had I not met your father, and had it been me, had I not met your father, and had it been me, I would have skipped no beats. You know, I tried to marry your dad's cousin, but my sister got a hold of him, so I was left with your father. But, there's no shame in keeping it in the family, okay? I'm laughing because it's just such a funny sentence to run into a room and chastise a child and say, why would you hurt your third cousin's feelings? It makes me wonder, did the third cousin go to his mom and say, I shot my shot with Mary Lou Beth and she told me I was being a creep. What the fuck? And then his mom was like, yeah, what the fuck? I'm married to my first cousin and it's cool. Let me call his brother's wife and I don't know, and straighten this out. And then now mom's on the phone. The two moms are on the phone and they're like, oh, how dare she? That is funny to me. It is. Now, mind you, I'm making all these jokes without reading the last sentence here, but I just got a little preview and let me just go ahead and read it out loud. Turns out he told his mom and that I'm apparently his dream girl and I broke his heart. Oh boy. Yeah, see this next part? This is where it's not fun anymore. This is a grown-ass man, by the way. He was 23 at this time and I had recently finished high school. Now when there's family gatherings, I'm the one who isn't allowed to come. Don't. Because I hurt a man-child's feelings. I'm laughing because it's an absurd image. How dare you hurt Billy's feelings? Grown man Billy here just wanted to marry his childish third cousin, and you had to go and ruin the vibe. Billy Joe here just wanted to get hitched to his favorite little third cousin, and you had to fuck that all up. Now we can't even sit here as a big family because you made it weird. Billy Joe is sad now. He wanted to share all these family reunion meals with you. He wanted you to be the one to ride into the party in his Mustang. He wanted to be your Santa Claus. He wanted to bring you gifts every year. He wanted you sitting in his lap. And you just want to throw all that away for some stranger the family has no clue about. We don't want you coming back to the family reunions. How about you go out there with a stranger? Why don't you just go out there in the world and find you someone with a family, with a cousinless fucking couple. That's not funny. It's not funny. That's crazy. That's my commentary. Damn. That's crazy. But thank you for sharing that story with us. That is super wild. We got another one here which feels a bit more reasonable. This one's conducive to a regular childhood, I would say. I got a teacher fired and almost killed another. I think that is actually very regular. At least the first part. For sure, the first part. Second part, this could be like a wood shop accident. That would be my guess. Like a wood shop or a metal shop accident in a high school where all the teachers are addicted to some kind of pain pills because they got in like some bad factory accident and had to become teachers as a result. So 2 years-ish in high school, I was a cunt. I don't think that's fair to say about yourself. I think most kids are shitty. I think you're being a bit too tough on yourself. I was straight up a terrible person, and I still kind of am, to be honest. Okay, well, I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, but by all means, continue. Anyways, we had this one substitute teacher, Mr. Bush, LOL. Our school was his first teaching job. He was pretty young, I think, mid to late 20s, and kids my age started calling him a pedophile. I don't know why. He never actually did anything even a little sus, but it caught on, and soon the whole school was referring to him as pedo behind his back. Okay, yeah, you're a cunt. You were right. You were a terrible person, and if this is indicative of who you are now, then you are definitely still a terrible person. Then apparently someone told their parents, and he was fired and moved out of town. Hope you're doing well, Mr. Bush. Sick. Oh, so there's two victims in this story, and you participated in one. I guess in that first one, you yourself weren't directly responsible, but you participated, and that's bad enough. I would say this is akin to liking Elon Musk. You know, you yourself aren't owning the factories, forcing millennials to pee in bottles and assemble cars, but you buy the cars. And that in and of itself is debatably bad enough. We also had a teacher, I don't remember her real name, but we called her Miss Munchcock. Creative. To her face and everything. To her face and everything. I like the attachment and everything because, you know, this extends further. You know, we'd say it to her face, we'd write it on notes, leave it on her car, we'd spray paint it on her windows, we'd carve it on her kids' foreheads because they also went to the school, we'd bully them. Pretty much we'd remind her that she was Miss Munchcock no matter where she went. In church, walking down the street. It was really like a public shaming thing that the whole school joined in on. It was so much fun. She was a raging bitch. We hated her. She was bad at her job. Sometimes she hit and threw things at students, often said homophobic shit. She had severe asthma, and we learned one day that it was made worse by Axe body spray. Oh man. Oh man. Something to do with aerosol or whatever. So my class of like 30 kids locked the class up one day with her inside, closed all the windows, and started just going ham on the Axe. Oh, that's cool. You guys hit her with like low-grade Agent Orange. Wow, that's really creative and ingenious of all of you. This really speaks to the intelligence of young humans. In any context, we can find creative ways to harm each other. This is impressive. Really. She stopped breathing for a second, so we stopped and called an ambulance. She had been a teacher for 30 years at this point, and we ended up making her quit. I never saw her again, and my class never faced any real consequences. I'm not saying what we did is right, but she was a bitch, and I don't regret it. I think what's more telling is that you almost killed a teacher, and the school was like... She was probably like, I know exactly what class did it. I have all their names. I saw the ones that did it. She probably went, you know, to the principal, to the school district and said, I can tell you exactly what period of the day it was. I can tell you which 30 students attempted to murder me. And they looked at her and went, maybe it's better you retire now. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe this is God telling you that we're good. Time to hang it up. So as much as I want to call you all shitty kids, which you were, you know, maybe you were the shitty kids that the rest of the shitty adults were hoping would come to their rescue. This had to be a school in probably what? Either St. Louis or upstate New York. And I throw that out there because, you know, a lot of the times we read these stories and we lack context, but that doesn't mean we have to stop our imaginations, you know. I would say St. Louis because what else are you gonna do? Right? Killing your teacher almost, you know, it sounds pretty exciting because you're not learning anything, you know. Your books still say the Soviet Union over Russia. But I would also say, you know, upstate New York because, yeah, a bunch of entitled rich kids, they don't like that someone's telling them what to do. Let's kill her. Our parents do it all the time. Someone cooked my dad's food wrong on his yacht and he just threw him over. And my dad told me that if anyone ever gets in my way, I can take the yacht out anytime. And I too can throw them overboard because who gives a fuck? At this point, you know, we could call the theme of today's stories like reasonable childhood trauma, and I would love to read this one because I think this one is just, this is the perfect amount of trauma for a child. Fell face first into my great uncle's casket. This is perfect. You're not very close to a great uncle, at least I would assume, you know, but who am I? You know, who am I to say? You know, if I project my family into other people's family, no one is close at all. Sorry, did I ruin the vibe? Okay, my bad. Look, a great uncle seems like someone who's a little bit distant. You know, maybe they come by every now and then. So if you fall face first into the casket, it's like not really a big deal. It's just kind of gross, you know? But I'll let them tell it. Good day, Noel and friends. This is definitely not the worst story you'll read, but it left a mark on me. Yeah, I think it left some makeup on you too, probably. As I walked up to his open casket to pay my final respects. Open is good. You know, that means it wasn't something horrific. I could still look at him. My foot got caught on a rip in the carpet, sending me headfirst into my poor uncle's face. Luckily, I was one of the first ones in line, so my entire family saw me land nose to nose with our beloved uncle, brother, and father. No one said a word to me the rest of the day. P.S. Didn't smell as bad as I thought it would. Not sure what they put on him, but it was fresh as hell. Well, at least you can say the embalming was thorough. You know, your family got their money's worth. Also, nose to nose, that's not that bad. Just a little, hey. Goodbye, Unc. See you later. It's not that bad. I think that's great. This is a fun story. You can tell at parties. You can crack the ice with this. You can use this perpetually in your life. This is probably a fun date night story. First date. You're like, man, this conversation sucks. Let me tell you about the time I fell first into my uncle's casket. Lip to lip would have been rough, but I think you got out on this situation perfectly. And the casket didn't tip over. You know, it was just like a little oops. You know, oop. You know, the fact that he smelled good and he was dead makes me wonder, you know, did they just do it with some Axe body spray? All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this very fun edition of Weird DMs. See you all in the next one. Goodbye.
This my next big thing, she precious. I'm bad and the walls asbestos. Yeah, bitch, you guessed it. T-U-O-T on my necklace. Spock done made like 10 beats. Now I know the boy getting restless. Jab my way